And good afternoon, everybody. Back with another YouTube Live and another article to talk about. That is Trey Lance and Nate Sudfeld, I believe, in the picture of the 49ers quarterback preview on The Athletic. So, since that ruffled some feathers on Twitter, but not an Athletic comment section, we just had nice, intelligent, smart conversation. The Athletics comment section. We can now talk about quarterbacks and we can answer all of your questions about all 49ers position groups. But this was the piece that came out yesterday on Monday. I can make it a little bit bigger here. 49ers QB preview. The team's best summer QB battle maybe for the number 3 spot, all right, between Nate Sudfeld and Josh Rosen. Guys, calm down. There is nuance. I won't say it was a joke, but there's nuance involved here behind the 49ers quarterback battles that I'm going to get into. And Matt Barrows and I broke it down in this piece, which you see right here as the screen is being shared. So if you want to subscribe to The Athletic, then go to that link. In the live chat on YouTube right now, you have the link on the right side. If you're watching this later, I'm going to post the link and pin it at the top of the comment section. But basically, we talked about Jimmy Garoppolo, we talked about Trey Lance, we talked about Nate Sudfeld, and we talked about Josh Rosen. We talked about the recent history of the 49ers position group and what we might expect coming up this offseason. So, I mean, without spoiling it, this is what the article looks like. Here's what the nice comment section looks like. Good civil discussion. And I will stop sharing my screen right now and talk about the 49ers quarterback situation. Right now, Jimmy Garoppolo is entrenched as the number 1. Trey Lance, the rookie that they spent so much for, is their quarterback of the future. If Kyle Shanahan has things the way that he wants them to be, Trey Lance will take over with a flurry. He'll grab that job in 2022, and the 49ers will win multiple Super Bowls under Trey Lance. That's why you spend so much first-round draft capital to grab a specific player, because you want him to be an impact player, a Hall of Fame type player for years and years to come. In fact, in the case of Kyle Shanahan, I would say that Kyle, in an ideal situation, wants Trey to be his version of Steve Young or his version of John Elway. Those are both guys that have Super Bowl rings, who led their teams to Super Bowl rings. Now, Kyle's dad, Mike Shanahan, he got to work with John Elway, and he also got to work with Steve Young when he was the offensive coordinator of the 49ers back in 1994. One thing that a lot of people don't realize is that Steve Young almost decided to come out of retirement, or not retire in the first place, but almost decided to extend his career with the Denver Broncos when Mike Shanahan was the coach there. That was after John Elway's retirement. Instead, Steve Young decided to remain retired, and we'll only have to wonder what could have been had Steve Young paired up with Mike Shanahan in Denver. We do know what was, and that was in 1994. Steve Young set a bunch of records during his MVP season with the 49ers under Mike Shanahan. And obviously, the rest was history. That's when the 49ers wore those uniforms in that 1994 season that everybody seems to love. So it only makes sense, and this was something that I repeated so many times throughout the whole pre-draft process, with Mac Jones rumors floating around and all this and all that. It only makes sense that Kyle Shanahan, who learned so much from his dad when studying the game, learning the quarterback position, learning how to build an offense, you figure that Kyle Shanahan would want somebody who's both an excellent passer and a transcendent runner. In an ideal world, both of those tools would best fill a Kyle Shanahan offense, which is why I predicted Trey Lance, because you spend all that capital, get up to number 3, you're not going to just get, something that is moving along the treadmill, right, so to speak. You're going to want a talent that can transcend both with his arm and with his legs. That's why Kyle Shanahan, before the draft, said that he wants a quarterback who can throw like Drew Brees and also run like Lamar Jackson. Well, he wants a quarterback who can throw like Steve Young and also run like Steve Young, or throw like John Elway and also run like John Elway. And Kyle Shanahan sees that guy moving into the future, potentially, as Trey Lance. He certainly hopes so. I mean, that was a franchise-defining move. And because it was a franchise-defining move, the 49ers will handle it with utmost care moving forward. They have the same benefit, the same luxury that the Kansas City Chiefs had when Patrick Mahomes was first drafted. They had a veteran quarterback, a former 49er named Alex Smith on the roster. A lot of teams that initially shepherd in a transcendent young talent at quarterback do not have the benefit of having an established veteran already there. Guess who Steve Young already had when he was a youngster with the 49ers in the 1980s? He had Joe Montana already on the team. There's nothing wrong with a dual quarterback system in which both quarterbacks are future Hall of Famers. The 49ers don't quite have that right now. Nobody's saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is a future Hall of Famer, but he's also better than Alex Smith was with Kansas City. All the efficiency stats will tell you that. And he's also a quarterback who has been part of the crew that led the 49ers to a Super Bowl. So the 49ers see that they have the best of both worlds potentially there for them in this 2021 season, which is why Garoppolo is still on the roster and which is why Trey Lance is still on the roster. And we don't expect Trey Lance to be off the roster anytime soon. Yes, he is the idealized version of the future. He is Kyle Shanahan's ideal Steve Young or John Elway moving forward, but he still has to become that. Trey Lance still has to prove himself. And there is a high failure rate even at the top of the NFL draft. So the 49ers can play the short term and have Garoppolo as insurance as Trey Lance develops. I think it makes perfect sense that anybody trying to make this more complicated than it has to be is just trying to get clicks right now. So you could look at the article that I linked up there. That's what we talk about. We talk about the fact that Garoppolo right now is your number one, Lance is your number two. 49ers would love for Lance to come along and learn the playbook as quickly as possible. But for all intents and purposes, that's the pecking order right now. And I think we should be interested in who is the number three quarterback between Nate Sudfeld and Josh Rosen, because if Lance progresses as the 49ers expect him to, then the 49ers probably won't have Garoppolo in the 2022 season. I don't want to cross any bridges until we get to them, but say that Trey Lance is ready to go, he's rearing back and he's firing the football down the field, he's running at a Pro Bowl caliber level by 2022, well then of course the 49ers don't need Jimmy Garoppolo on the team, the same way that Kansas City didn't need Patrick Mahomes on the team when Mahomes rose to such prominence in 2000. The same way Kansas City didn't need Alex Smith on the team once Mahomes rose to such prominence in that 2018 season. Well, in that case, the 49ers are going to need a new number two quarterback behind Trey Lance. And I think that the winner of this Sudfeld-Rosen battle for number three has the real inside track to be the number two of the future in case Trey Lance really excels. So let's just listen to what Kyle has been saying. Throughout this whole thing, Kyle has not really led us astray if we've actually listened to his words, instead of trying to ascribe meaning that isn't there. But if we actually listen to what Kyle Shanahan has been saying, he likes Garoppolo for 2021. He wants Lance as the future. And it sounds like Nate Sudfeld and Josh Rosen are both guys that he's willing to audition to be backup quarterbacks of the future. It's pretty simple if you ask me. I don't think it's that complicated, but there are a lot of people who are trying to make it much more complicated than it actually is. Anyway, check out the article because right now I'm going to check out your questions. There were a couple good ones on Twitter, but I'm going to give some priority to some of these ones on YouTube so that way I can put them up on the screen. This is from Amin the Dream. Who's your favorite Niner quarterback after Steve Young? Well, I grew up watching Steve Young. That was a lot of fun. And then Jeff Garcia was right after him. And then there was a whole lot of nothing until Alex Smith. And even Alex Smith really struggled to begin his career. Then you had Colin Kaepernick. I really loved watching Kaepernick play when he was in his prime years, before. I think there were some adjustments the league made to him, but I think also injuries, really stalled Colin Kaepernick. When he came in, he was buff. I mean, he was rail thin at Nevada. He got huge with the 49ers. I think, strengthening with an NFL staff over the 2011 season. And then in 2012 and 2013, even into 2014 before all the surgeries, Kaepernick was a real, just muscled up physical specimen. And I mean, you'd have to be lying if you said it wasn't fun to see him running like a gazelle through defenses with those long strides. So that was a lot of fun. But I really did enjoy watching Jeff Garcia and that NFC wild card game against the Giants. That's another fun one. Why don't we share that one right now? The 2003 NFC wildcard game against the New York Giants remains one of my favorite 49ers viewing memories. They were down by 24 points, and that was in the, I think, late third quarter. Do you guys remember Jeremy Shockey, that New York Giants tight end who just talked a lot of shit? Well, Jeremy Shockey was talking, and he was talking to the crowd at Candlestick. They were throwing ice at him. And then somehow, some way, Jeff Garcia and Terrell Owens led this comeback. So I'll go ahead and hide the question and now share my screen once again to show you the first long-form feature story I wrote for The Athletic about the 49ers. There he is. There's Jeff Garcia. I'm going to share the link in the comments. I think that I disappeared there for a couple seconds. I'm very sorry. So I'm going to share my screen once again. I think I closed the window when I wasn't supposed to. So we'll share it now. All right, there you go. Is everybody still with me? Give me a thumbs up if you can in the comment section. Yeah, it looks like there's a few of you watching. Anyway, here's the piece. My editor, Jimmy Durkin. This is back in 2017 when the 49ers were terrible. So we, look back to history. This is my first year covering the Niners. Jimmy did a great job, if you go down here, with some of these pictures. There he is. There's Jeremy Shockey. He dropped that pass. That could have been the touchdown that finished the game. Instead, the Giants had to settle for a field goal. Had Shockey, after talking all that crap to 49ers fans and getting ice thrown at him, caught the pass that you see right there, the Giants would have been up 42-14. So the 49ers win probability, according to the metrics, would have been 0.1%. Instead, because Jeremy Shockey dropped that pass, the 49ers win probability went up to 0.2%. So their win probability doubled. They had a 0.2% chance of winning after Shockey dropped that pass. Then we fast forward, and Ty Streets, after Terrell Owens talked some smack of his own as the 49ers came back to Michael Strahan, and a lot of crazy stuff happened. Ty Streets, there you see him, number 89, caught the winning touchdown for the 49ers. Now, stuff got wild at the end when New York had to try a game-winning field goal attempt after driving on the field, which I'm sure had 49ers fans' hearts in their throats. But because the long snapper, Trey Junkin, who was a guy they just picked up off the street, failed yet another snap, the Giants had to abort their field goal attempt at the final gun, and they had to throw a desperation pass downfield, which was flagged for pass interference on the 49ers, which theoretically would have given the Giants another chance. But the officials ruled that there was an ineligible receiver downfield, nullifying the pass interference, giving the 49ers the win. Now, this is my favorite part of the story. It actually turns out that the receiver downfield was not ineligible, that he had checked in before the snap. So the NFL later admitted error, officiating error, and said that the Giants should have gotten another chance at a much shorter field goal to win the game. Now, but this was already a couple days after. So what happened is that somebody asked Steve Mariucci, the 49ers coach, about it. And they said, well, the Giants should have gotten one more on time down. And Steve Mariucci said at his press conference, oh, bummer. And the whole bummer thing followed Mariucci around for several years. He was the coach of the Lions after, so Giants fans never forgot about it. But bummer could be the headline of a story about the 49ers and Giants in the January 2003 NFC wildcard game. That was a 39-38 win. The question was about, a quarterback that I really enjoyed watching play. And I think that was the high point of Jeff Garcia's career, an underrated career with the 49ers. So hope that you enjoyed that. I'll stop the screen share. I know somebody commented about it. I hope you guys like the screen share. Hope you guys are subscribed to The Athletic. By the way, I don't think that the link came through. So if you want to read that epic look back at the 49ers and the Giants, it's linked in the section there, but you could just type in Bill Walsh, 15 years later, the story of Bill Walsh Jeff Garcia and a spectacular 49ers comeback over the Giants. It's like 3,500 words about one of the most memorable games in Candlestick Park's history. So there it is. You have the link up there. I'll hide it now so it's not annoying you. And we'll go on to the next question. This question was also asked on Twitter. So I'm wondering if it's the same person who asked it, but I'll put it up there. David, do you think Jalen Hurd is the number 3 wide receiver? If Jalen Hurd is healthy and at full capacity, 100%, I think the 49ers see Jalen Hurd as the ideal big slot candidate. Obviously, power back in the SEC at Tennessee, outside wide receiver in the Big 12 at Baylor. Kyle Shanahan has, especially since he saw so many issues with Trent Taylor's health and the real focus to build a New England type offense with a slot receiver like Trent Taylor in 2017. Kyle Shanahan, especially starting in 2019, has since evolved into the big slot formula, which presumably is done to, insulate the 49ers better against injuries as one of the reasons. Obviously, that hasn't worked out yet with Jalen Hurd, but I think it's a big run blocking thing for Kyle Shanahan. He wants that third wide receiver position to maul people. And Jalen Hurd, with his body, if he's healthy, he can maul people. So I think the 49ers, you've seen it with Jalen Hurd. You've seen it with the draft pick of Jawan Jennings. Those are guys who can fit into that big slot number 3 wide receiver role if they're healthy. Neither of them were healthy last year, so we didn't see either Hurd or Jennings. But I think those 2 names are names to watch out for as far as the 49ers being able to balance both the rushing attack and the passing attack. You have to be able to run block, to be a wide receiver in this offense, especially at that number 3 role. So you're going to look for the glorified tight end type, the yoked up, muscle-bound type at that number 3 spot, the real specimen. And hopefully for the 49ers' sake, both Hurd and Jennings can stay healthy, and all of a sudden they'll be deep with big slot guys who can block at that number 3 role. Let's go back down memory lane. Do you think the 49ers get to and win Super Bowl 47? With Alex Smith? They didn't win it with Colin Kaepernick. Here's a funny thing. I think the 49ers would have won Super Bowl 47 against the Ravens with Alex Smith starting the game, but I'm not so sure that they would have gotten there with Alex Smith starting the game. And that's your catch-22 of that whole situation. We have to remember that Colin Kaepernick was historically good in the playoff run leading to Super Bowl 47. He absolutely destroyed the Green Bay Packers while the 49ers defense was leaking some oil. The next week, the 49ers fell behind because of that leaky defense to the Atlanta Falcons. It was 17-0 at the old Georgia Dome. And it was really Kaepernick who helped lead the 49ers back. He was explosive in the second half. And the 49ers won that game after Navarro Bowman knocked away the pass from Matt Ryan in the final seconds. Colin Kaepernick then was not good for the majority of the Super Bowl against the Ravens, who were much worse than the 49ers. Any way you cut it, the 49ers were heavily favored and the more talented team in that game against Ray Lewis, who at that point was a fossil. I mean, the 49ers were facing just a mere shadow of what Ray Lewis had been before. So that defense didn't scare anybody. Yet Colin Kaepernick just was erratic in the first half. He turned the ball over. And he was a big part of the reason the 49ers fell behind so far against the Ravens. Now, Kaepernick also was part of the reason the 49ers came back and almost won that game. Of course, they didn't hand off to Frank Gore at the end, so they couldn't finish the comeback. But since the 49ers were so much better than the Ravens on paper, that was a game that Alex Smith, as derogatorily as people toss around the game manager, pejoratively toward Alex Smith, all the 49ers needed to beat the Ravens was a game manager. Now, they wouldn't have gotten there with only a game manager because their defense wasn't playing well, right? So it's tough. You can't just let Kaepernick historically guide you to the Super Bowl with these epic rushing performances against the Green Bay Packers and the Atlanta Falcons and then bench him in favor of your safer option, Alex Smith, in the Super Bowl. I think that's really tough to do. So it was a double-edged sword for the 49ers in that 2012 season and in those playoffs in January 2013 and then February of that year. They got there with the sword and they also died by the sword. There was higher volatility with Colin Kaepernick, that's for sure, but he sure gave the 49ers fans a lot of good memories on the way there. It's just tough to lose a Super Bowl. It really is. It's going to be questioned for eternity. We're seeing that after the 2019 season, of course. So just not a good situation to reflect on if you're one of those emotional 49ers fans. But I think that's the truth of it. I think that they lived by the sword and they died by the sword in that 2012 season. Blake Tedeschi says, I honestly feel no need to rush Lance. Let things fall as they may. That's exactly what the 49ers are doing. There are people with an agenda on Twitter trying to kind of troll me and criticize me for saying exactly what you're saying. That the 49ers are letting things fall as they may. That somehow, because I'm pointing out that the 49ers are doing this, that I'm somehow going to bat for the 49ers or doing whatever. It's just, it's absolutely asinine. It's foolish. It's stupid, whatever you want to call it. I just call a spade a spade. And when I see the 49ers trying to have their cake and eat it too, which sometimes works, I'll say that the 49ers are trying to have their cake and eat it too. Right now, they're trying to have their cake, Jimmy Garoppolo. They're trying to eat it, Trey Lance too. They're trying to play the present future combination of the quarterback room. If you can afford it under salary cap, if you can afford it in terms of draft capital, why not? This is a ready-made roster to win. If it can stay healthy, Jimmy Garoppolo has already shown that he could guide the 49ers to the Super Bowl. If he hadn't gotten smacked around in the helmet in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl with some really poor interior pass protection, the 49ers probably win that thing. That's how close they were to it. With Jimmy only under contract for 2 more seasons, why wouldn't you try to run it back with him since he's already a proven commodity when he's healthy? And why wouldn't you also see if you could take a swing for the fences in 22 and beyond with Trey Lance? You can do both things. I guess it's too complicated for some people to grasp, but not for the 49ers. They're trying to do both things. I commend them for taking the swing with Trey Lance. It could blow up in their faces because they did give up a lot of draft capital, but it could also pay off really handsomely for them. And while they have insurance, while they have 2 quarterbacks, why can't they keep them? Not hard. Not hard at all. So tell that to the people on Twitter who keep on trying to twist my words. It's as simple as what I just said. And that's what I've been saying since January too. So there are no words to be twisted when you have the receipts in your favor. Let's see. More questions. You guys are all talking about the Giants. Oh, I love this one. Lombardi loves the screen share feature. Welcome to the future, brother. Yep, I do love the screen share feature. I love sharing your comment there as well. Yeah, it did go blank for a bit. I'm sorry about that. When did I write that article? I wrote that article in 2017. So you're going to have to type in Jeff Garcia, Bill Walsh. There's a cool Bill Walsh backstory. That's part of it. My apartment background game is strong. We have to give credit to my girlfriend. That's Margot, who is not here. I'm in Nashville. She lives in Nashville, and this is her apartment. So her background game is strong. Mine is in California in the mountains. So we'll let Margot know when she comes home that she has a nice apartment. Thanks for that comment. This is such a cool feature. Yeah, Chike Okifor. Oh, Greg. Hi, Greg. How's it going? Do you think there's going to be any fall off in the performance of the defense this year, moving from Robert Saleh to DeMeco Ryans? That's a great question. There might be a little bit of a chess match fall off just because DeMeco Ryans is a new defensive coordinator, because I do think that Robert Saleh got better over his 4 years as the 49ers defensive coordinator. I do think he diversified his calls. He got better at reacting to what opposing offensive coordinators would do. So I do think that there is a little bit of a danger, especially when 3rd and 4th quarters come around and the chess match aspect of things happens, that DeMeco Ryans may have a couple, of lumps as they come, learning curve lumps. So we'll see if that is the case. I will say that DeMeco Ryans has gotten praised as a coach on the field ever since his rookie season in 2007 with the Houston Texans. So DeMeco Ryans is tremendously smart. The 49ers have groomed him to succeed Saleh for several years now. They believe that he's ready for the job. That being said, it's hard to replicate live bullets until you're the guy who has to make that play call with the opposing offensive coordinator who's way more experienced trying to fool you, trying to make his play work. It's hard to know how DeMeco Ryans is going to do in those situations. But I can say with absolute certainty that the 49ers believe that they have prepared Ryans as well as they can for this job, and they believe that Ryans is the man for the job. That's all that we know right now. We'll have to watch the games to find out how Ryans actually does. That being said, I am interested to see the schematic wrinkles that Ryans adds to this defense, which we've already discussed in our conversations with DeMeco Ryans, and which we've already seen hints of in the 49ers personnel selection this offseason. The first big thing that the 49ers will do more of this year that's very publicized is more press man coverage. That means that you're going to see Jason Verrett on the outside and maybe Ambry Thomas, the team's third-round draft pick, on the other outside. Right as of right now, it's Emmanuel Mosley. But if Ambry Thomas wins that job, you'll see both him and Verrett do what I think they both love to do, and that's get up on receivers and be very aggressive at the line of scrimmage. You also might see the 49ers continue with their higher blitz rate that they showed in 2020. This is a team that under Robert Saleh didn't blitz a whole lot from 2017 to 2019. They, especially in 2019, didn't need it because the edge rush was awesome. But when the edge rush got hurt, Dee Ford and Nick Bosa weren't available in 2020, the 49ers went in hard. And I mean hard with the blitzing, especially on third down. In fact, on third down in 2020, the 49ers had the third highest blitz rate in the entire NFL. I think that DeMeco Ryans is going to stay aggressive because, A, it's hard to expect the 49ers edge rush to be as good as it was in 2019. And even if it is, the league has adapted in some facets, so you do have to bring more heat. Fred Warner is a very good blitzing linebacker. K'Wan Williams is a very good blitzing nickel back. You can bring the heat in creative ways, and I think that DeMeco Ryans will do that on top of his press man coverage. Do you think Shanahan will give Jimmy a shorter leash this season, knowing Trey Lance is waiting in the wings, if he deems him even close to ready? Well, there's a difference between close to ready and ready. The 49ers have the luxury of waiting until Trey Lance is absolutely ready, not close to ready. They're not in a rush to get Trey Lance out there and then maybe put him out there a little bit too soon. So this whole close to ready thing defeats the purpose for the 49ers. Trey Lance has time to be 100% ready, just like Patrick Mahomes was 100% ready when he took the field for the Kansas City Chiefs as a starter in 2018. And, even if he is 100% ready, I mean, Lance earlier than expected in this season, and he does become the starter, why would you jettison Garoppolo? Because then you're back to square one. The problem for the 49ers in the 2018 and 2020 seasons was that they were too thin in the quarterback room. I mean, Garoppolo got hurt, and then they didn't have competent backups. They wanted to deepen the quarterback room. That was one of the primary goals for the short term here. So they shouldn't be rushing to rid themselves of the deep quarterback room. And I know you're not asking that. I know you're not asking, are they going to release Garoppolo? But a lot of people are saying that, let's release this guy and just give it to Trey Lance and then have no proven depth in the room because all you have behind him is Sudfeld and Rosen. I think Sudfeld and Rosen need to prove themselves first to be capable number twos before you jettison Jimmy Garoppolo. And as far as starting Trey Lance, well, Trey Lance will start when he's 100% ready and no shorter than that, unless Jimmy Garoppolo is hurt, obviously. I think that the 49ers have budgeted for this luxury. They've planned for this luxury, and they'll definitely utilize this luxury since it's there. Could the 49ers sign Justin Houston? If they can get him at a veteran salary exception, yes. I think guys like Justin Houston, guys like Melvin Ingram, they're edge rushers who would fit. Of course, it's Justin Houston and Melvin Ingram, and the 49ers need edge rushers. But the 49ers also don't have any spending money right now because of the salary cap situation and the fact they still have to pay Fred Warner. So if they can get another guy at a veteran salary exception or close to it, and that's the trick that the 49ers use to re-sign all those guys to one-year deals this offseason. If they can do that, then yeah, you get Justin Houston or Melvin Ingram. The problem is I think both of those guys are holding out for a little bit more money. And that's why I think Melvin Ingram is the more likely candidate to sign because he's coming off an injury and a 0-sack season. So I think that he's more likely to not get the kind of market interest that he wants to get. But then again, I think he's still holding out for more money. And yeah, I'm going to follow up on this. I'm saying, yeah, I know you're not suggesting Jimmy Garoppolo could be released, but a lot of people who ask similar questions are. So I wanted to address that. It, it- Here, Garoppolo will go to the bench when Lance is 100% ready, because Lance at 100% is going to be better than Garoppolo because Lance can run too, right? Lance at 100% is a transcendent player. Will he get to 100% is the question that we don't know the answer to yet. There are a lot of guys who are drafted who never reach their full potential, but I can guarantee you, yes, if Trey Lance reaches his full potential, 100% of it, he will replace Jimmy Garoppolo as the 49ers quarterback because you have Garoppolo here and you have Lance here. If you take both of those guys to their very fullest potential, Lance is going to win out. Now, the question is, will Lance, who's on this side, right, get up to that full potential? If he doesn't, then Garoppolo's still going to stay above him because Garoppolo's already realized a lot of his potential, and Garoppolo has shown to be a good quarterback for the 49ers when he's healthy. So the 49ers will wait for Lance to exceed Garoppolo. If that doesn't happen, they still have Garoppolo as insurance. It's as simple as that. Anybody who's trying to tell you how fast Lance is going to progress is selling you snake oil right now because they don't know. We haven't seen training camp. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch himself don't know how fast John Lynch is going to how fast Trey Lance is going to progress. We know the background. We know the verbiage and the pro style offense that Trey Lance dealt with at North Dakota State. We know the body type. We know the physical tools. We know the family background. All of those things are impressive. But until bullets start flying at training camp and then during the regular season, we can't be certain of how those things will translate, which is why Jimmy Garoppolo is very nice insurance for the 49ers because he's been a good quarterback for them, and they want to have the best of both worlds, short term and long term. So, again, sorry, I didn't think that you were suggesting he be released. I was answering many other questions at once. And Trey Lance is going to play when Trey Lance is 100% ready, when his ability to win games for the 49ers exceeds that of Jimmy Garoppolo. Right now, as we speak, it doesn't. Trey Lance has work to do. Will he exceed Garoppolo some point during the 2020 season? I don't think that 2021 season. I don't think that Kyle Shanahan expects that. I don't think that Kyle Shanahan's ruling it out. I think the more likely scenario is 2022. But even that isn't necessarily a deadline for Trey Lance. The deadline, I would say, would be 2023. I do think that there is, you start to be a little concerned if you can't really challenge Garoppolo in 2022. But I wouldn't be concerned about it in 2021. And even if it doesn't happen in 2022, even if this pick looks like it's going to be something that could potentially blow up in the 49ers' faces, that's why they still have Garoppolo as insurance under contract, right? They can cross that bridge when they get to it. And hopefully for the 49ers' sake, they're doing a good job right now getting Nate Sudfeld and Josh Rosen worked in so that those two guys are capable backup options. So that way you can more readily afford to lose Garoppolo in 2022 because you have something behind him. Because you don't want to go back to square one where you only have one quarterback in the quarterback room. So one capable quarterback. So you need capable bodies. That is the key. The 49ers believe they have at least two of them, and they're trying to make sure they have at least three or maybe four of them with Sudfeld and Rosen. And that's why it's super shallow to not think that Sudfeld-Rosen battle matters. Because when you think about a future potentially without Jimmy Garoppolo, that number 3 quarterback spot looms large because it moves into number 2. Does JaMychal Hasty beat out Wayne Gallman? I don't think so. I think Wayne Gallman is bigger, more durable. He's done it in the NFL. I think that Hasty might make the team and will stick around because there's going to be injuries in that backfield. But Wayne Gallman's a good back. Put on some of the film for the Giants, and it's good. I'm going to finish up here in a couple minutes because we're going to be headed to dinner here in a few. So I'm going to answer one more. Let's say, well, I mean, everybody likes talking about quarterbacks, so let's see this one right here. It's hard seeing the trust gone. How can Jimmy redeem himself this season to get another starting job? I don't think the trust is gone. Like, the NFL's a business. Jimmy has struggled to stay healthy in 2018 and 2020, and they've only committed to him under contract through 2022. And they could jettison themselves from that contract at any time. There's no guaranteed money left on the deal. So the 49ers made a practical commitment with Jimmy Garoppolo through the 2022 season. As of today, they're still honoring that commitment. They're certainly still honoring it through 2021. They have repeatedly said that they like what Jimmy brings to the table when he's healthy, but he struggles to stay healthy. So they said they wanted to deepen the quarterback room, which they did by acquiring Trey Lance. Now, in acquiring Trey Lance, they did so in an expensive way because they also recognized that Jimmy Garoppolo is only on their contract for 2 more years. So they decided to make a big swing for the fences, deepen the quarterback room for now, and also have a chance at transcendence at that position for the long term. I don't see how that reflects on Jimmy Garoppolo, who's always been on a practical deal year by year with the 49ers. Unless they cut Jimmy Garoppolo outright right now, then they're still planning to have him around. They're still planning to have him shepherd in the transcendent option of the future. But Jimmy Garoppolo is who we thought he was. He's a good quarterback who gets hurt a lot. And the 49ers hope he stops getting hurt so often because they have a really good chance to make the Super Bowl if he doesn't, if he stays healthy, just like he did in 2019. So if Jimmy Garoppolo stays healthy and continues delivering at the efficiency clips that he's shown when he has been healthy, he'll have no problem holding on to a starting job either with the 49ers or with another team. I think it's as simple as that. It's a business. People take it way too personally. They think that somebody is either a Hall of Famer or they completely suck, and they don't understand that this is just a business transaction and that the 49ers actually want that Hall of Famer in the future, and they see a chance with Trey Lance, and they're doing something that Bill Walsh did back in the 80s. I mean, nobody in this league is untouchable, even Joe Montana. Even when the 49ers had Joe Montana, Bill Walsh brought Steve Young into the building to push him. Worked out well for the 49ers. Even when the Patriots had Tom Brady, Bill Belichick brought in Jimmy Garoppolo, and that worked out pretty well for the Patriots. And I think it worked out well for the 49ers because they got Garoppolo. They went to the Super Bowl in 2019. And now the 49ers are in a good situation in the quarterback room. I think a lot of the league would switch places with the 49ers as far as how the quarterback room is set up right now because they got a guy for the short term and they have a very hot prospect for the long term. Final question. What is for dinner? We're going to a place in downtown Nashville called Showan Indian Kitchen. It's so good. It's like Indian food hybridized with southern food. Shohan is how you pronounce it. Showan. It's called like a masala bar or something. Oh my God, I love this place. It's my favorite Indian food ever. I know Indian food already with chicken tikka masala and all that is already a hybrid with British food. This just hybridizes everything with Southern Kitchen. It's delicious. It's air conditioned. Air conditioning is the greatest invention in the history of man. If you're in San Francisco right now, you probably don't realize that. But if you're in Nashville on June 29th, which is where Tight End U just was, you understand the value of air conditioning. So Shohan Indian Kitchen, it's not in downtown Nashville. It's in the Gulch is what they call it. It's this new kind of area that they're redeveloping. It's going to be awesome. And I can't wait. All right, everybody, have a good dinner. It's 7 o'clock here, so I have to get to dinner. You might still have an hour or two, so get hungry before then. Thanks for the Q&A, and make sure that you subscribe and tell everybody about this new YouTube channel, which has been a lot of fun to do. All right, take care, everybody.